Thanks for listening to That Great Mank Pod. Please do us a massive favour and subscribe to this podcast. And if you can, leave us a review on iTunes. Both are a massive help, enabling us to promote the people and the great causes we champion to a much bigger audience. If you want to get in touch, give us a follow on Twitter at Great Mank Pod and drop us a DM. Cheers.
You're listening to That Great Mank Pod, Greater Manchester's community podcast. Top one, our kid.
So what radio station were you on this morning?
It was the BBC Radio Manchester.
Right.
And I was being interviewed about organ donation. A lady called Judy, I can never pronounce the surname, Corinho, lost her son, 27 years old. And she went on to agree to organ donation, and he saved, and his organs were used to save 6 people.
Wow.
And I've been in talks with her so far. We've been chatting on Facebook Messenger, but we're, making plans to meet up so I can see her as a recipient and she as a donor family, because it was a mom who agreed to organ donation after losing her child. That, I'm here today talking to you. So when I see people from donor families, I'm just overwhelmed with emotions, and I want to just hug them and say, thank you. Because, when you're faced with a choice like that, you start thinking about life, you start appreciating things more. And that's where I am. And I want to do the same for, other people in my community and, raise awareness about, the decision to take, how it affects other families and what they should be doing, how they should be thinking about, not about themselves, but thinking about those people on the waiting list who are waiting to be called to say, we found a kidney for you, which was exactly what happened to me when I was called in 2018 to come to the hospital for my, transplant. And I'm here today because of that decision that mother made. Otherwise...
Yeah, it's really, really hard as a parent, as a human being, but as a parent, it's just... because it's the flip side of the coin, isn't it? So probably the most. I mean, a really good friend of mine lost his son last week. I was at the funeral this week.
Oh,
it was just the worst day.
It is.
Yeah, it was just horrible.
Oh.
And to experience that, and then to make a decision,
exactly,
and to change somebody. It's a situation I don't think you can ever put yourself in unless you're in that situation. But the difference is from such pain to such joy.
Exactly. Other people's lives. It's just amazing. I'm in awe of all donor families and that decision they're taking every day, forgetting about their grief to think about other people. How selfless is that?
I can't think of much else in life.
There isn't a greater gift you can give, is there? It's, I know, Hilary, we had a very lengthy chat the other day, and it was the fact that I think the most amazing thing in all of this is that you honour that, and you're sort of dedicating your life now to that opportunity and that gift that you were given. You know.
Yeah. Well, that brings us. In fact, is it Hilaria?
Yes, Hilaria.
Hilaria. I've got a problem with my L's and my R's.
It's okay.
Or
you can call me Hillary.
Hillary. That's probably easier. That's why I call. I just have to call everyone mate, because it becomes embarrassing otherwise. But there you go. I've never admitted that before, but that's the truth. Can you tell us then who you are and what you're about, what you do?
Yes, my name is Hilaria Asumu. I'm the founder and chair of WSH BME Kidney Network, and I'm the recipient of a kidney transplant in 2018. And my journey started when in 2008 I was pregnant. I had a miscarriage at 22 weeks. Then I had septicemia, multiple organ failure, 2 cardiac arrests, and I was in a coma for 2 weeks. And when I came off the coma, the doctors told me that multiple organ failure has affected my kidneys and, I'd lost function and had to go on dialysis. I was on dialysis for a little while. And then my kidneys marginally, improved, but it wasn't altogether very good, but they were managing me. But I got pregnant again. And same thing happened. At 22 weeks, I had a miscarriage, septicemia, multiple organ failure.
God.
And, I was in a coma. And this time, when they were extubating me, my lungs collapsed and they had to reintubate me to save my life. And when I came out of that coma, there was nothing. My kidneys had been affected. They were shrunk to walnuts. So I had to go on dialysis. In fact, it's actually a story that, even I couldn't believe, because the doctor said that if I did come out of the coma, I would be paralyzed on one side. And, I might be in a wheelchair. And that was something, my family couldn't imagine, because everybody knows I'm so full of life. How would she manage with that? But fortunately, I didn't become paralyzed. I'm not somebody who sits down waiting for things to happen to me. Go get it.
You don't strike me as that, no.
So I fought to get back on my feet, but although I was on dialysis for a very long time, for 10 years, and unfortunately, because my community don't donate, I waited that long. My family, I have 7 brothers and sisters, and my parents as well. They came forward to donate. Unfortunately, because of my high antibodies rate, which meant that my body will reject any organ I get, none of them was a match. I was even asking them, "Are you sure I'm your child?" I asked my mom, "Did you play away or something?" And I was like, "Don't be silly." But the doctors explained to me that usually happens. You might not find somebody within your own family. And then my girlfriend from high school I hadn't seen for over 25 years. So heard about, my situation from my other classmates. And she came forward and said she wanted to be my donor. My friends call me Prof, just based on the fact that I like to study and I like to write exams and stuff like that. So she said, "Prof, what can I do? I have 2 healthy kidneys. They can take one. Obviously, you can live on one." And I said, yes. I was a bit reluctant because it is not something we do in my community, to donate to somebody you don't really know, that's not your relative, even your relatives, it's not something that we do. And she came forward, put her through, and she, like myself, has needle phobia. And she put herself through all of that just to give me a kidney. Unfortunately, she wasn't a match again. And she came back and said, "Prof, what else can I do?" And she was told that there was the PAID scheme, which is, my donor's kidney will go to somebody else in a circle. It could be between 3 and 5 people giving to each other. So she went on that. We waited for 3 years. We didn't get anything. So 2018, I was now doing home hemodialysis. And I just finished my dialysis at 7 because I go on at 3 o'clock in the morning because I have to go to work. I had a business. So
3 in the morning till 7 in the morning.
Yeah, 3 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Every day?
No, 4 times a week. Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
Right.
So I just finished my dialysis, and usually my siblings will call me one at a time to find out how I'm doing. I was on the phone with my sister from the States, and my phone rang, and I said, "Listen, hidden numbers are usually from the hospital. Can I just take this?" So I dropped her call and I got on the call, and this voice, went through the normal checks they have to do. And this man's voice said, "We found a kidney for you." Oh my God, I'm getting emotional again because every time I remember that.
Goosebumps. Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, "What did you say?" So "We found a kidney for you." Oh my God. I ran downstairs. My husband usually is downstairs in the morning doing some work. I ran downstairs. I jumped on him. I was like, "Darling, listen, they've just called from the hospital that I have to go to the hospital. They found a kidney for me." And I was, at that point, I was confused. I didn't know what to do. And usually my husband is very calm and collected. He's a doctor. And he said, "Hilary, go take a shower." So He said, go take a shower, Hilaria. I'll take you to the hospital. And I ran upstairs. And when I got into the shower, it hit me that no more dialysis. Dialysis is something that nobody should go through. Nobody. Because it's harsh, it is hard, and it is painful. It's the things you have to do, I call it voluntary torture, putting yourself through voluntary torture to get your life back. And it hit me that no more dialysis, no more going to the hospital because of one complication or the other. And I broke down and I cried. I cried in the shower. I came out. My husband came out and he held me and he said, "It's okay, darling. Just get dressed. I'll take you to the hospital." We got to the hospital. They told me not to eat. So, and he's a surgeon as well. So he knows all these things. So he was just talking me through because I was confused.
What do you think he was like inside?
Oh, my husband.
Yeah.
My husband is calm and collected. Believe me, if you see him, he never flaps. My husband is so calm. And he tends to calm all of us down in the house. I guess perhaps he's got his emotional inside, but he knows that as the head of the house, as the one who has that knowledge, he has to support, us as a family, because he's also got my family to think about. They don't live in England. I'm the only one here. He's my only family here. So he has to do something to make sure that he's there for all of us. Because
I was just thinking, actually, I think that's why, thinking what you've just said there, I bet he was sat there and thinking, I'll tell her to go and have a shower because she needs to have that moment on her own and break down, before you went to the hospital, really.
Yeah.
That's incredibly empathic and knowledgeable of him, to do that.
He is. His patients absolutely love him. So I went, got ready, got to the hospital. There was a whole lot of tests to do. And I had the surgeon who was going to operate on me come through. In fact, that surgeon is amazing, Dr. Mr. Takavoli. He's at MRI. He's a wonderful, wonderful person, because all through he came in, he was talking at every point. This is what's going to happen. This is what's happening. We're checking the organ to make sure it's okay to transplant into you. And he went through everything. There was no anxiety there. For some reason, I trusted him because of the way he was, engaging.
That's so important. That is really so important.
Yeah. And then
I couldn't handle that. I've got white coat syndrome. I go to pieces. I just say to the doctor, I'll have tattoos for 9 hours. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But I say to the doctors, I don't want to know anything. Just do what you got to do and don't tell me.
I'm like that with injections. So anyway, I think because of all the tests that had to be done, they came to tell me about the kidney condition, who, I got it from, the reason why I got it and everything. And they said, "Do you want it?" I said,
oh, dear.
I don't care. Just give me the organ. So they took me in. Yeah. They took me in about 2:00 in the morning, and I came out about 7 or 9 o'clock. I can't remember now. But it was early hours of the morning, and the ward wasn't that busy yet. And when they brought me out, I got a very low pain threshold, and I was asking for pain relief. And they gave me the pain relief. It didn't even work. I said, "More, please." Anyway, so they took me back to my ward. But I was so excited. I was so grateful. I was crying. I was praying. And I said, "I want to sit down." The nurse said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I want to sit down," because I just couldn't imagine, I've gotten the kidney. Me, Hillary, I've got the kidney. No more dialysis. Everything's not moved out of my house. No way. So I sat down. I was there for a long time sitting down. The nurses came and said, Hilaria, you need to get in bed. I said, no, I'm fine where I'm sitting. And one of the nurses said, we usually have to bully patients out of their bed. You are sitting. And I said, you don't understand. You don't understand. 10 years of being on dialysis, 10 years of pain, 10 years of being in and out of hospital. I remember once when an ambulance came here and I had peritonitis because I did peritoneal dialysis. And I thought I was at the point of death. And my parents had come to see me because they hadn't seen me since I started dialysis. And I was lying on this chair I'm sitting. And, I couldn't move. When I moved, the pain was so excruciating. And I remembered apologizing to my husband that this wasn't what I planned. I didn't plan this. I didn't plan to be sick. I just found myself in this position. I'm so sorry. Can you look after our kids? My mom was crying and praying. My friend had come round and she was crying and calling my sisters all around the world to say, this is what is happening. And I was just lying down there thinking in my head, God, is this your plan for me? And when I got to the hospital, they said it was just an infection. Like, can you imagine that? I thought I was going to die. And then I get to the hospital and they tell me, oh, no, it's just an infection. It happens to kidney patients. And I'm, goodness me. I've been through a lot. And I had that peritonitis 3 times. 3 times. It is horrible. If you ask any patient who's on dialysis and is doing peritoneal dialysis, they'll tell you it is horrible. Horrible. Anyway, so whilst I was sitting on that chair, back to the hospital, whilst I was sitting on that chair, my phone rang because I knew I was going to get a lot of calls. So my phone rang and it was somebody from NHS Blood and Transplant. So that's how I started. Okay, that's how I started my campaign. So the lady said, we got some information that, you're a kidney patient from the ethnic community. And we're just calling to find out, about you and wonder if you want to get involved in our campaigns or to talk to us. And I said, yeah, of course, go ahead. And she said, so are you on the transplant list? I said, no. She said, oh, do you have any idea when you're going to get a transplant? And I said, oh, I already got my transplant. Said, oh, that's wonderful. So when did you get your transplant? I said, about 5 hours ago. And she got flustered. She was like, should I be coming? I said, no. I said, it's okay. You can go ahead and talk. And we got talking. And she said, you're sitting down in your chair. You're not in bed. I said, no. I said, because this is a miracle. Because I thought I was going to die. So why would I lie
the body is
bed?
amazing, though, isn't it? I mean, the body is amazing.
It is. Yeah. It is. And for me, that's, I've got a low pain threshold. At that point in time, I wasn't thinking about the pain. I was thinking about, I got a kidney. This is me who was told that I would not get a kidney for 10 plus years because of my high, antibodies rate, which was at 97%. And I was also told that, to give me a kidney because of the high antibodies percentage, they would have to exchange my plasma before they can give me a kidney. But do you know, this was 2008. 2018, they put the kidney in without exchanging any plasma. That is the beauty of research.
Yeah.
And, I even asked the doctor, you didn't exchange any plasma? I said, oh, no, we didn't need to do that. You already did your dialysis, so it wasn't a problem. We just did a top-up dialysis for you. And
we just put it in.
I know, it was so blasé about it.
like Lego.
You wouldn't believe it. And this lady got talking and she said, I'm from the NHSBT and would like to, get you involved in our campaigns. And I said, sign me up. Where do I sign? Just send me the documentation. I will sign it. So she said, oh, well, we'll get back to you since you just did you had your transplant. We'll get back to you. So I think it was a few weeks later, 8 weeks after, I was in Parliament talking to ministers about organ donation and my story. Then Jackie was the health minister, and I've been invited to Parliament to come and speak about organ donation because she was she was launching this toolkit for ministers to use in their constituencies. So it was my picture. That has never happened to me. This little girl from this small village, coming to England, and all of a sudden I'm talking to ministers, about organ donation. My photo is everywhere. In fact, NHSBT started using my video because I was interviewed. They came to my house to interview me, and they started using my video because apparently my video actually touched a lot of people. So sometimes I'm in my friend's house, and their kids will come like, Auntie Hilary, I saw you on Instagram. My son's friends will say, I saw your mom's video on Instagram. It was like, and my son was like, Mom, you're everywhere. I was like, oh, I don't know, because I really don't see it. But I was so glad that through my experience, however traumatic it was, I was able to impact people with my story. And that is how my journey started, into campaigning. And one thing about me is that when I'm passionate about something, I don't stop. No matter what it is, I do not stop until I get some result. And that is why my campaign is going to continue until my last breath. On the day I draw my last breath, as I'm dying, I'll say to everybody that they must sign up to the organ donation register.
You know what? It's really good to hear that you're a positive influencer on social media, because social media gets criticised a lot. And there are a lot of characters, probably want of a better word, that think they're gurus and, they're not role models and stuff like that. So it's really great to hear that people are seeing you and your energy and that big smile. I mean, people who are listening to this won't see that big...
I think they can hear it.
Smile that's there all the way through this conversation. I actually took a photo earlier so we can use it on social media.
Oh, what did you? Oh my God!
No, I said before. Now that makes me out to be a liar. Now, so I'm lying to the lady who's had a new kidney. No, we won't. We won't share that.
Yeah,
but, because I'm looking rough. Not about anyone else. I've been in bed for 3-4 days.
Oh,
but it's not about me. It's not about. I don't want to make this about me.
No. Well, you see, I had COVID myself. I did.
Really?
Yeah, I did. But that was after I had my 5th jab, and I basically didn't have anything. Just a loss of your taste, and that's it.
Yeah.
Nothing whatsoever. And that is why I always tell kidney patients, I tell them, don't stop, go, keep taking it, because we're fighting now for every shade for the government to approve it, to allow people like me who are immunocompromised to, have that medication for if we have it, because some people might not be lucky like I am. I lost my friend to COVID during the COVID pandemic, and COVID was almost over. She had COVID, but because the symptoms were not the typical ones, they didn't catch it on time. And she was a lung transplant patient. Her name is Michelle Hemmings. I talk about her all the time. I want to raise awareness in the system so that they understand that there are differences to how things affect us as ethnic minorities. They have to start thinking outside the box, because my friend for 2 weeks had symptoms that didn't, resemble COVID symptoms. And she kept telling me I have this bad pain in my lower back, she's in pains all over. She went to the hospital, they checked, they said her lung was, because she had only one lung, her lung was clear. And she told me, and she said, oh, lax woman, I don't know what's happening. I just feel so horrible. And I said, take some paracetamol, because, as transplant patient, we can't take ibuprofen, or anything like that. So take some paracetamol, said it's not working. And then she went to the hospital, had to come in. We finally found out that she had COVID. My friend died within 2 weeks.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, sorry.
She was about to turn 49 and she died.
When people have been through what you've been through, they know their own bodies. And I say, it's the only you can see if you really don't feel well, and you know that you're not, don't you? You know,
you do, you can
when
feel it.
When you're older and you've been through things. But that's a heartbreaking story.
Our daughter is devastated. I am devastated every time because she's on one of the toolkits I use to raise awareness about kidney disease and organ donation and blood donation. And every time I see it, it breaks my heart. Where I went to Birmingham to speak at the Northwest Kidney Week, which was held at the Hilton. And when I spoke about, I almost broke down on the podium because I just couldn't imagine she's gone. We did this campaign. It was a dance challenge for people, Leave Them Certain challenge. So we're asking people to dance and, whether on the streets, in their houses, on the train, we're asking people to dance to raise awareness about organ donation and also about, having that talk with their family when they sign up to the organ donation register. And apparently, quite a few people took that up, and some of them are on my Facebook page, on the charities Facebook page.
Right.
And, you see people dancing and asking people to sign up and leave their families certain. She started it. Whilst she's a lung transplant patient, she had a group of people who came together to dance, using that hashtag created by NHS Blood and Transplant, Leave Them Certain. And, every time I see that video, I just can't watch it to the end where she comes on. I have to skip past that. And it just, brings it home that a lot of people lost people during the pandemic. And I cannot, I cannot say I understand how they must feel, some people would be able to get over it. I don't know whether it's because we had that really, really close relationship. That was why, I feel the way I still do today, because I've lost a friend. We could talk for 5 hours on the phone at night, and she would keep telling each other, go to bed,
Yeah.
But,
Hillary, it's really good that you're actually saying that you've had, the COVID jabs and stuff like that, because, I mean, we were doing a lot of work. We do a lot of work with minority groups, with different groups all over Manchester, and there was a lot of mistrust, wasn't there, especially within Black and Asian communities, over the actual. I know there was mistrust. Generally, you see the people with the placards, but I know it was even worse within a lot of the Black and ethnic communities, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that is mainly because of historic issues. Even most recently, the malaria trials in Nigeria. There was also some things in the African countries as well. And one thing people don't realize is that there is mass migration. Okay, people are emigrating; they migrate everywhere, and they're going to move with their traditions and their customs and their culture with them and their beliefs. So when they move over to a new country, they don't know what the culture is in the new country, and they're only trying to learn, or they don't want to learn at all. They want to remain within what they know. Some people are not that adventurous, and and that is where it starts from. And they come with those stories. And I always say this when I go speak at conferences. I say, word of mouth is a thing in my community, because a story starts when someone has a bad experience on the NHS or in the system as a whole, because it's not just the NHS. That story goes back into the community, because it's usually only the bad stories that get circulated.
Absolutely.
And as it's going around from one person to the other, the Chinese whispers coming to it. So by the time it gets back to the person who started the story, it's totally different. And believe me, if you see all those videos that go around on WhatsApp, That's exactly what happens. Because somebody takes it, changes it, because it's quite easy to change videos nowadays, changes it and it goes round and round and round. And then what happens? It affects the system. Yeah, it affects whatever initiative they have in place to help people from the ethnic communities. So that is an issue. And that's something I'm trying to break down. Whilst working with the system, within the system as well, I am working in my community and telling them that it is not always doom and gloom. There's also good about the system, but you just have to find it. Unfortunately, it's the bad that outweighs the good. And a lot of people don't share their good experiences. That is why I use my story. I get myself in front of it and tell them, this is what happened to me. This is who I am today. I am here because a mother agreed to organ donation. I don't know them. I've not met them, but I just know that my donor family are amazing to agree to organ donation. And that in itself is good. It just shows that there are still people with human sympathy who want to help others. So why can't we just try and work together with our host country? Because we're all coming from other countries. Why not work together and try and see how we can, fight these virus? Take the vaccine, take it and see how you get on. I've had interviews and people have said, no, I'm not taking it. I'm not doing it because, the government is trying to change our physiology.
Oh, the stories. Listen, there's a lot of people that I genuinely care for and have a lot of affection for who have kind of distant, and it probably won't be forever, but you just think, all through that, because it was too serious. It was too serious a situation to go down that.
Yeah,
to go
and
down that road.
The naysayers didn't help. They didn't help matters with all the fake news going around. Yes, we do know people died, and that was, a failing, and they've accepted it. Okay, that we're trying, because currently health inequalities is a big topic on the NHS, and the different studies, the different projects that I'm involved in, and they're looking at how they can make things better for the ethnic communities. But if we don't come out to share our experiences, how would they know to actually put those measures in place to ensure that doesn't continue? So I find myself the only one at these meetings, at these conferences, talking about this. But if I have about 10 people, as passionate as I am, who are willing to come out and talk and work in their different communities, within the Black community, and you would not believe this, there are other underrepresented Black communities in the UK. They don't come out to speak. They don't talk. If we can have people from those communities coming out to say, this is what is happening within my community. How can we work together? How can we sort this out? Selflessly putting themselves out there to help their community, then our work is halfway done. But we are not getting that.
Nothing changes without discussion and dialogue. And
exactly.
we do a lot of work, and we support a lot of minority groups and stuff like that. And the institutions have let them down. There's no denying that. The people have been massively let down by the legal system, by the benefits system, by everything in time. And yes, that still happens. But if you never then go back and try and engage and try and change, you'll never change anything.
Well, you see, what I mean? You see, because people have had that bad experience, it actually puts them off, because when they go back into the community and say, this is what happened to me, then somebody else who's got stronger views will come and tell them, well, and if you keep going back, it's going to keep happening to you. Some people would refuse to go to the hospital because they think that, if they go, they're going to die there. They're not going to look after them properly. Yeah, I know that there's been some failings, but it's not every doctor or nurse on the NHS who is out to get you. No. Yeah, I've had bad experiences, but that doesn't mean that I suddenly give up. That's the only system we have. Where else would you go apart from relying on natural medicines or plants?
Listen, the
themselves.
NHS is one of the best things we've ever done, but I do not wear blinkers when it comes to the NHS. You know, I've got family that worked in it, friends that the same, and they work under amazing, under really difficult situations. But no, they've got issues, they've got problems, and we all know that, and we all know where the main issue. It's always well, there's not enough money going in. That's a big issue. There's no two ways about it. But there's also, you know, we need to have a really, really grown up conversation about the NHS at some point. But it's such a tangible, personal thing to so many people. It's a really difficult thing, but that doesn't make, just because we don't want to hear what the answers might be doesn't mean we can't have the we shouldn't have the conversation.
Exactly. But I can tell you that yes, the NHS has failings, but it's up to us to ensure that we're giving them that feedback. We're telling them, this is where you're failing, this is what you're doing, what we don't like, and it is for them to engage with us. As somebody from an ethnic community, when we talk about engaging, I've had bad experiences, don't get me wrong. I have had them. But I look back at it and I learn from them. And that is what is actually pushing my campaign forward. Because when I go in, I use myself as an example. I use the patients that I support around the UK. I use their stories to say, this is what has happened to this person. How can we sort that out? I was recently on the organ utilization group set up by the Secretary for State and Social Care, for Health and Social Care. And they were looking at how, because access to transplantation is not, is disproportionate with ethnic communities as well. That's another area. As an ethnic community patient, you are less likely to get a transplant for various reasons. They could say, oh, you drink too much, you smoke too much. It could be, because of lack of people coming forward to donate and stuff like that. But most common is about the drinking and the smoking. But believe me, we don't really drink. I had my charity lunch in June and I had 2 bottles of wine on each table. No, we don't drink. And bottles were left unopened. We don't drink. So even if, that is the case, what I tried to do was to raise awareness about the issues we're facing and telling them how they can, work around that, looking at solutions. And the recommendations was that it should be more, when they are making decisions on the NHS, they should involve the patients more in the decisions about their lives. And also, if they want to engage with the ethnic communities, they need to have more people from those ethnic communities representing them, talking to them right in front, because you can't have programs and you put a white person to go speak to somebody in a black community.
No.
It won't work. They won't trust him.
No.
They wouldn't. Or an Asian person going to a black community. I work within the Asian communities. And how did I get in there? It was an Asian person who introduced me. And I started working with them. It is not easy to break, even within the African community. I have to be introduced into the different African countries, their communities here, because I'm Nigerian. I can't walk into a Ghanaian community and say, I want to go speak to them. I have to go through somebody from there. That's the way it works. And I'm sure that's the way it would work here. People actually identify with people who look like them, talk like them, understand their traditions and their culture. So something needs to be done about that. Can't keep running programs for ethnic communities and expect them to engage with somebody from the white community. They wouldn't. And that is the
if it's never worked, it will never work.
Exactly.
It's listen, we see it's frustrating. I can't even get my words out now. That's frustrating, but we see it all the time, all of us, in so many different things where it's like, well, we'll just try it again. We'll just try it again, but and it's the same thing. Try something different, or
generic solutions. And I say this all the time: you've got to tailor it to the community.
Thank you, Damien. You understand that. Yes.
Everything. I write a lot of funding bids for a lot of ethnic groups and stuff like that. So a lot of it is culturally specific support.
Exactly.
So we had this conversation, didn't we?
So they're giving you honorary citizenship then, Damien.
Well, I do feel like that. I know I was 5 minutes late to coming on this Zoom because I'm actually writing a funding bid for a South Asian women's group.
There you go.
I was trying to get that finished. And once you get into that zone and I'm writing, but that's all about everything you're talking about now, which is intersectional issues, that people have multiple issues. So language is a barrier as well as whatever is going on in that individual's life.
True.
It's about tailored support. It's about lived experience. Being valuable for racial justice. Because it's people's. You've just said everything I've just been writing, which is it's taking the stories and then using those stories with passion and power.
Exactly.
The most important thing is don't just moan about it. You're going in with alternative suggestions, right?
Yeah.
And there's too many people out there, and I don't care where you're from or what's it, sitting at home whinging about it or complaining constantly does nothing.
No,
right?
You have to go.
What it actually does, it builds walls.
Mm-hmm.
If you go with an alternative proposal or several proposals and say, look, I didn't like the way you did that. Why don't you do it this way?
Yeah.
Now, how can anybody argue with that?
Well, you see, sometimes people feel that when they make suggestions, they are not listened to. But I haven't found that at all because I was thinking, how can I expand my campaign? Because I set up a kidney charity, as I said earlier on. And that was because I noticed.
Just give us the name of the charity again, please.
Yeah, it's Warrior Survivors and Heroes BME Kidney Network. So it's in short, it's WSH BME Kidney Network. Right. So I set the charity up because I noticed that people from my community, we don't engage with the bigger charities, the white charities or mainstream charities, and they sit at home. We sit at home suffering in silence. And, through my campaigns with the NHSBT and my campaign with Kidney Research UK and my campaign with Research for the Future, I thought something needs to be done. There should be somewhere that people with kidney disease from my community can go to for help, for support. So I set up the charity. That was after I got my transplant during my campaigns, 2019. But we got registered in 2021. And funny, I didn't know, but someone said, do you realize that this is the first Black charity in the UK? First and only Black kidney charity in the UK. I could not believe that I did that, you know. And now Black kidney patients, I've have people coming to me from as far as Carlisle, because there is nowhere else. London, Birmingham, Bristol, you name it, they're coming, they're asking for support. And whilst we shout about, the pandemic being bad, it also brought some good things. I'm talking to you on Zoom. I'm in Salford. You are somewhere in Manchester, around the place. But we are talking to each other. And that is what I used. I'm talking to doctors online. I'm talking to people in the council. Is it that we use Zoom or we use MS Teams? I'm talking to them, and then I'm talking to patients as well by Zoom. I'm helping them with applications for benefits, for their jobs. I'm doing mock interviews online so they can get a job. It is that support. It's not just the patients, it's also their families. Because when a patient is ill and they are the main breadwinners in the family, it affects them. It affects their family because if they are not in a position to help their family, that has a knock-on effect on their mental health. And in order to stop that happening, we are taking them on. We're talking to them. Sometimes some people just want to talk. So they have that. Just talk. I'm actually going to be in tribunal in the next week or so, advocating on behalf of, a kidney patient who's been denied PIP by DWP. And that is what we do, because when they go to the mainstream charities, they don't open up to talk because they feel they're going to be sharing too much, and they might report them to social services and stuff like that. So when they come to us, you can see the relief on their face when they hear a Black voice, when they hear somebody and they're, oh, thank God. And I'm saying, okay, so how do we, because I still have to, point them in the right direction, and say, this is where you go. I'll speak to the people. If you want me to support you, to come on with you or go with you, that's fine. Even newly diagnosed patients, we will go with them to the hospital, come back with them, explain to their families what they need to support their loved one. That is what we do. And I find that is actually helping. But how can I make people a little bit more open to come forward? Because even if the service is there, people don't know we're there. So I reached out to people and said, this is what we do. We raise awareness about organ donation, blood donation, kidney disease, but we find that we are not reaching enough people. So I don't mind, we will go anywhere in Greater Manchester. So let us know. And before I knew it, I was inundated with requests to come and speak at different events around Greater Manchester. And that is amazing. And although I'm the one with the lived experience, because the other trustees in the charity, the volunteers are saying, we don't have that experience. So what I'm trying to do is get them that training with either kidney research or with NHSBT, so we can have more people, volunteers, going to the communities to raise that awareness. And another thing is research. We're asking people from the ethnic communities to come on and get involved with research. We're not asking them to, they don't have to give blood or saliva or anything. It's just giving consent for research for the future, to send them information about different research that is going on. Because if that happens, some people find out that, they didn't know they had diabetes or they had this disease. When they get involved, they find out these things and they build their knowledge around kidney disease or diabetes or, different stuff. So we're asking people to sign up. And that is one of our main campaigns going around Greater Manchester. So when I'm talking about organ donation, I'm talking about blood donation, I'm talking about kidney disease, I'm talking about research. So there's a whole lot of remits, that we're doing.
So where can they do this? Where can they? Obviously, they can go to. Is it your website or?
Okay, so for Research for the Future, they just need to go to researchforthefuture.org and sign on there. Yeah. If they go in to say register, they go into the menu, they click on it, it drops down, and they will just see, it takes them straight to register. So they register there, and somebody will send them an email to welcome them. For organ donation, they need to go to www.organdonation.nhs.uk/register your decision. For blood donation, they need to go to www.blood.co.uk. And our website is www.wshbmenetwork.org.uk. Think of that. And the kidney research is www.kidneyresearch.org.uk. So I think I've got all of them because I keep reading them, so they're in my head.
Yeah, look, we always ask people. This is obviously we'll send this out. The podcast will go out, but we'll also share it on all the social media platforms.
Yeah,
we always ask everyone on, what do you want out of this? What? Some people are desperate for volunteers. Some people have got funding campaigns that they've got going. But what I just heard from you there is, and tell me if I'm wrong, you want opportunities to actually go and talk to people and events and stuff. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. I want opportunities to talk to people around Greater Manchester. It doesn't matter wherever they are in the country. I would go there. We also are looking for volunteers because next year we're hoping to do a huge fashion show around kidney disease. And I have quite a few people who are involved in that project. So we're also looking for funds for that project as well. And raffle prizes, if
right.
people
Well, please,
can,
just so I don't forget, in terms of that, in terms of everything,
yeah.
We're going to keep in touch with you whether you like it or not.
Yeah. please do. Call me anytime.
But any event, certainly the fashion show, anything like that we can reach out to people and get involved.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and I'll be a partner too. If we can support you in, we're always looking to collaborate with other organisations that are reaching people that we can't.
Good.
We're not we're not trying to take over. We're not replicating. We're not, if somebody's doing something fantastic, we want to support them.
Yeah.
That's
but also it doesn't matter what, like you said, I mean, you've got to look at the practicalities. It doesn't matter what we want to do. Ultimately, we could have some amazing initiatives, but the chances of us being able to explain and what those initiatives are ourselves are very slim. And that's just the way it is. We try and change it bit by bit or whatever. But as it stands now, the best way for us to offer any kind of support or anybody else is to funnel it through people like yourself who are doing amazing work in the communities. And that suits me down to that absolutely suits me down to the ground, because you can't, that's the danger, isn't it? You try and get involved in everything and anything, and it just, and I must admit, when you're saying that you're traveling here, you're traveling there, you're doing this, doing that, and in my mind I'm thinking, oh, don't do too much.
I am.
No, you've got.
I have a lot of energy. If I'm not doing something, I will fall ill. Believe me.
Well, this is the father speaking, but in me. But you've got to look after yourself. You've, and I'm sure you do. And I don't mean that in any other way than a caring way. But because you are the, whether you like it or not. I mean, you're the hub, aren't you, for this?
Yes.
And and it is, it's so important. Have you, since you've started doing this?
Yeah.
Have you seen a change in terms of how your communities are reacting, a positive change? So you're actually seeing, right? Then that's
positive, because I belong to a women's group, a Nigerian women's group, and the chair of the group said Nigerian Women Greater Manchester, and she said was telling the members, we all need to support Hillary. We all need to start signing up. We need to start talking to people. I was just recently, I was invited to Daventry to come and speak to a group of doctors about organ donation, about my story and what they can do in the community. I get a lot of invites from people within the community asking me to come and speak. Just yesterday, I was in Salford, talking about my story, talking about what we want people to do from my community. And, the interview this morning as well, I usually curate those interviews and send them out so that people can hear, other people's story, my story, what is required of them, what they should be doing. And just like this now, once you finish and you send me the copy, I would share it everywhere, because people, not just only in the UK, people come on my own, because I have this online kidney sessions with NHS consultants coming to speak on them every month. About different issues that, kidney patients might, have. And, I would share that alongside on the Facebook page, on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, on Instagram, everywhere, Twitter, because that is the way we can reach people. It's information, giving them information.
It's really powerful. It's just really powerful. I mean, podcasts are a powerful medium anyway.
Yeah.
Anybody listening to your story, even when they're out walking in the sunshine today, even though it's freezing, with the sun shining, and even if you're walking your dog, you got your earphones in, and you're listening to that stuff, you can't help but it's a human story. I don't care who's saying it or where it's coming from. It's a human. It's a human story, and they're the things that really should. I mean, some people it'll never touch, but whatever, we'll never deal with those people. But most, I find generally, most people are decent, and certainly in the communities across. And I say this all the time: Manchester's a city, born and bred here, but I don't think it's the best city in the world by a long shot in terms of as a city, because I've travelled.
It is our city,
but the communities across Greater Manchester, I think we've got amazing community spirit. Amazing community spirit.
We do.
And from also the cultures, everything. I mean, it's just such a massive. I don't like using the term melting pot, but we are.
It is a melting pot. I always say that we're just like New York.
Easily.
Yeah, because we've got everybody. I know people say London is the melting pot, but believe me,
people don't talk to each other in London. You're right. They've got amazing communities, but they're so big.
Exactly.
They're a city on themselves, whereas here, people will talk. Listen, how many times are you out and you don't want to talk to anyone? You're really not in the mood. But someone will always talk to you.
Hi, mate, how you doing?
In London, they're more silo as well. I think, people cross over art, culture, music, food.
Yes.
I mean, you've already tapped into, some fantastic network. I mean, Arimba was the one who introduced us.
Yes.
I mean, I've actually, you say you're from Nigeria. Half my family's Nigerian.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah, the Rigbo. So I know I don't look it, but...
Well, I'll tell you, my sister's husband is Nigerian, but he's Lebanese. His background is Lebanese, but he was born in Kano in the north, and he's married to a Nigerian woman, and their kids are Nigerian. They have Nigerian passports, so it doesn't really matter. Anybody can be a nationality anywhere or a citizen anywhere, especially where they're born. It's what you contribute to that community you find yourself.
100%, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what matters. And it's what's in your heart, the passion you have to contribute. And I do tell people, this country and its systems saved my life in 2008. That's why I can see my daughter become a medical student because she wants to help others. I can see my son, become a musician. At 21, he's a musician. He's actually playing tomorrow. He actually is at RNCM, and he's got a concert tomorrow that he's actually arranged himself.
Right.
And that is amazing. And
what does he play? What is he in a band, or is he?
Well, he has a band, but his head of year or head of the music department told him to arrange a session orchestra. So it's an orchestra. Right. Tomorrow. So it's around the Black History Month, and it's about all the amazing Black British artists who've contributed to the music scene, the music industry over the years from the early 1900s. So my son was learning a lot about musicians, in the UK. So I was so glad to see that happen. I'm going to be right in front. Feeling so proud and crying as well because I'm very emotional.
Hey, singing, Hillary. No singing.
No singing.
This isn't your show to take over. You stay off that stage.
I'll be the loudest person clapping and
and when they say to you, "I'm sorry, there's no recording in here," just give them that stare.
Oh gosh.
There will be. Listen, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm sure you've got plenty to do, and this is always even for me, so it must be for you. It's a really emotional, it's a really emotional story. But I've really enjoyed considering the content. Some of it, you've really, really cheered me up, which is so weird.
Great, I'm glad it did.
Which is so weird. But listen, we want to, and I know you've spoke to Damien before, but I mean, we tend to pretty much think the same, but we want to do more, whatever we can as Mank Spirit and the other platforms that we've got to promote what you do.
Yeah.
We'll absolutely get involved, and we can have a chat about that when you've got time, which will probably be the hardest thing to sort out. But it's been, I will bang this out today because I want it to go out today.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you.
Oh,
Hillary.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Really.
Oh, your energy and your positivity and your laughter are just infectious. You can't sit here and not smile. You know.
Do you know
honestly, what? You're the best person to go out and promote something, because I can't see how anybody can get angry with you.
They do.
Well, do you know why? I mean, we get it this well. We probably get people angry for different reasons. It's like when people say, "Well, you need to knock on doors." Well, generally, we knock the doors down.
Yeah, I smashed through.
Oh, we do, but I'm at that age where, me and Damien are at that age where it's like I don't care that.
I'm not so young. I'm not so young,
Well, you look it compared to me and him. But we're at that age where it's like, if we want to make change or try and make change, then you've got to go out there and do it. And that doesn't mean you can't be reasonable sometimes, which we are. But listen, very few people inspire me. I meet lots and lots of people who do great things, but very few people who genuinely make me want to, carry on, even when we're feeling fed up.
I know.
Make me carry on. But you are definitely one of those people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. I've got some work to do.
I was hoping you say, well, now actually I'm just gonna watch Loose Women for half an hour and just have a cup of coffee. Don't do too much.
Oh well, you know me. I won't.
It's been a pleasure, Hilaria. If you need anything, just give us a shout.
I will do. Oh gosh, don't tell me that, because I'm going to be coming for you.
No, we mean it. So, okay. I'll be honest. Sometimes we don't.
No, now you said it. That's it. It's written in stone. I'm going to come to you and say, listen, you promised that it wasn't recorded. So I'm getting you involved. So yeah.
Would love to. Absolutely love to. Listen, you have a great day. Enjoy the sunshine while it's still here.
And you too. Thank you so much.
See you later.
Bye. Yeah. Thanks.
Bye. Bye. Thanks for listening to That Great Mank Pod. Please do us a massive favour and subscribe to this podcast. And if you can, leave us a review on iTunes. Both are a massive help, enabling us to promote the people and the great causes we champion to a much bigger audience. If you want to get in touch, give us a follow on Twitter at Great Mank Pod and drop us a DM. Cheers.
You're listening to That Great Mank Pod, Greater Manchester's community podcast. Top one, Arkin.